Welcome everybody back to another Boldcast reaction. I'm Carson.
I'm Lindsay.
And this is Demon Sailor. Season 4, Episode 6, the strongest of the Demon Slayer core. Been really interested to see what this guy's about. Excited to learn more about him, see how he can maybe use spirituality or some sort of like mindfulness training or some, crazy Demon Slayer version of that to awaken Tanjiro's mark, to see if they can get the boost that they need in the wars to come. Hope you guys leave a like and subscribe. Let's see what happens this time. Let's go. Never skip leg day.
Put him under the waterfall.
Oh God. Get ready, everybody.
Yep.
Just 20 more minutes of this. I'm just kidding. Zenitsu's voice actor does not get paid enough, whatever it is, even if it's a lot. He's way over the top, as always.
I mean, he also has a boar's head kind of protecting him from the water. Cheating.
Isn't this like, he did this all the time, didn't he? He did this in his original training in in like episode 2 or 3, season 1.
Finally something that he's not just instantly super good at. How long do they need to stay under there? Oh, 2 hours. Ew.
Everything but the tail.
I'm surprised he doesn't just eat the stick too.
Haikyuu. But you will, Zenitsu.
You probably pushed the whole mountain. I like how he's also
Tom
not
Platz
even
hashira.
rolling it, he's just pushing it.
Yeah.
Everyone else is scared. Tanjiro's like, wow, he's so cool.
What they need to do is all of them need to do it, and then one person goes, and then they all do it again, and then one person goes away until it's just like less and less. Killing him like this will make his sister happy with you.
You're right, this is no place for you. Leave.
This is like, have you seen that guy on Instagram who's like, day 200 of me trying to overhead press the log, and it's just a big fat log that he's been trying to lift over his head. I think he's been taking longer than he should because he has a lot of followers, but it's very inspiring.
Uh-oh.
Ugh.
泣き目お前は私が思った以上に素晴らしい 私が思った以上に
The like
The
yeah,
parallax effect is sick.
あとはそうだな
it's so freaky.
禰豆子も産屋敷もうすぐ見つかる
Oh boy.
I also like how like his earlier training was cutting a rock in half and now it's moving a rock. Ow. It's like when the little thing like pops out of a flip flop when you're walking.
俺たちは山を降りるわとてもついていけねえ悪いな
Wow.
ここで脱
Quitting.
出するのは心苦しいがでも甲子園に回らせてもらうよ頼んだぞ
Ouch.
はい、俺からも頼みます。皆さんが後方支援してくれたら、俺たちも安心。鬼殺隊全員の力で、鬼物事務山の首を取りましょう。
後ろは任せておけ了解だかまど頼まれた
You know what? Actually, that's really interesting.
Yeah.
I was expecting Tanjiro to be like, "No, you can do it. You have to stay
Yeah.
and inspire them." But he's just like, "You know what? It's not for everybody. And
Yeah.
if you can't, you know, that's fine. This is really hard, even for me." And there's like no ego behind it at all.
めっちゃ三角
かなり体を酷使した塩分は多めにして。
Mmm.
皆さん、どうぞ。
いやうめえよ体にし
Love a good jelly donut.
俺、今回の訓練で
柱と違いに打ちのめされて心折れたりさ
多いこなしてきてんだから、柱ってやっぱすげえわ。
っていうかお前めっちゃ米炊くのうまくないうめえ
なあ、俺。
Maybe you should be a professional chef.
料理は火加減。焼きおにぎりも美味しいです。
Mm.
どんどん食べてくださいね。
この味噌付き最高だよ
Ooh.
Maybe this is healing their minds a little
Yeah. But they wouldn't be liking it as much if they weren't suffering every day. Maybe that's part of the training.
懐かしいな。
Hmm.
bit. Hmm.
Shut up! You're breaking my concentration. Holy shit, he's so jacked.
Yeah.
出し続けられない。
お前額の技濃くなってないか
大丈夫だったのか？あの後連絡取れなくなったから心配してた。
謹慎してたんだよ姫島さんに叱られてさ接触するなって言われてたのにあんなことになってそうか悪かったな巻き込んでかばってくれてありがとなそれはそうだお前あざ
あざ濃くなってる？
ああ
Bad thing, this doesn't normally turn into like fire. More
It
bright.
gets darker, more like
貸してやるよ
vibrant.
濃くなってる。よかった。嬉しいぞ。お前がな。
岩の訓練してるのな俺もやってるよ
動かなくて、玄也は動かせた？
動かせるよお前ら反復動作をやってんのやってねえのか姫島さんも教えるのうまくねえからなよく見て盗まねえとダメだ高めるためにあらかじめ決めておいた動作をするんだ
Mm.
俺の場合は
That's what the chanting's for. It like gets you into a, so you're not thinking about your muscles and everything. They're just going at max strength. I actually really like that. It's
あ
interesting.
りがとう玄也。試してみよう。
無理するなよと言っても聞くようなやつじゃないか
Yeah, I think he's kind of
I-
known for overdoing it.
回だ。
Well, you heard what you said about the repetitive motion.
どうさ。玄也が言ったことを思い出して。
全ての感覚を一気に開くんだ俺は呼吸を使えないけど反復動作を使えば岩も動かすことができるってよ俺もまだまだなんだけどね
君島さんと玄也はこれを使うとき記憶を思い出す。それにより心拍と 体温を上昇させている。まだまだか。
Well, hey, you're like a centimeter closer.
お前が作ってもう他のやつのは食べられないよ。
もうそんな時間か。すぐ行きます。
よっ、おふくろ、おふくろ。俺も手伝うよ。
ありがとう。
どうだ、反復動作はできたか？
違うみたいだ。
感情を高ぶらせる感じだな。前の額の技ってそれと同じ状態になってるってことなんじゃないか？
だけど姫島さんや玄也、お前にだって技はないぞ。
炭治郎、感情が強く高ぶる時ってどんな時なんだ？
When your sister's in danger.
わかんないけど悲しいことを思い出させちゃったか。悪いな。
I really like him. He's such a good
Yeah, Genya's
character.
softened up a lot.
きっとできるよ。
I like Genya. It feels like he naturally has kind of grown over the seasons, but it's just been in the background, which is kind of unfortunate because we got to know him so late. But like,
Yeah.
but like it feels kind of real because they just like they had the whole interaction with his brother. You know, like it feels natural,
Yeah.
even if it is like a little bit abrupt because a lot of him was more in the background until recently. Set your heart ablaze.
Whoa. It's moving.
He did it.
技が濃く出た状態がこれできっと続けられるようになるといいな。
Ooh, that was so cool.
あいつ出ない時間から稽古始めてんのか。一日持たねえぞ。
The sun is within his heart.
もう負けてらんねえ。
初めのうちはできなかった。
This music is epic as shit. With the sunrise.
それを何度も何度も繰り返しているうち、
Nandomo.
体が反復動作から全部
Whoa.
この工程を
Oh, he's going now.
Okay. All right. Only 352 feet to go. Oh shit, you just keep doing it. I guess,
It's
yeah, with the
repetitive.
repetitive action thing, like if you lose the concentration, then it's really hard to get it back. But once you have it,
あ
Oh.
の男は何を恨む？
it's like momentum, but not.
さて、なものかな。お前はどんな姿をしている？産屋敷。
What? I love this ending. This episode was so good. Am I
Yeah.
wrong? Like, this episode was really good.
な、猫かわいい。
He's so cute. It's me.
It looks like a cat from
姫島行名
that cat looks like a cat from March Comes in Like a Lion. It looks like they have like a couple or a few cats in the house in that show, and they're always like chit-chatting and talking, so it's funny. That was I don't know what it was exactly, but something about that episode just really worked for me.
It was really good. It's interesting because we've been like, oh, I really hope that we get to like learn more about this Hashira, and then like it seems
episode
like
comes
next
along.
and we like don't really learn that much about him, but the episode was still really good because I feel like we're getting a sense of him just through his training
And through Genya
And
talking
through
about him,
yeah.
like how he's very good at what he does. He's obviously very strong. Everybody's talking about how badass he is, but he's really chill and he's not good at teaching necessarily. You know,
yeah,
like
he's kind of like
Genya's
leading
"Oh,
by
yeah,
example a little
yeah,
bit.
Exactly. Genya is like, that's probably why he was pushing the boulder when they were just sitting there eating, because he maybe in his weird like mind he was like, oh, I'm gonna show them right now, or like, you know. I mean, it's
Yeah.
probably part of his routine because he's all about like the repetition and all that kind of stuff with the chanting. But yeah, I don't know what exactly it was. Like we went around a lot. Maybe it's just because this episode had a lot of had a big journey to it. Like, they showed up for this training, and it was really silly at the beginning. But, like, we spent a good amount of time with the water training, which I feel like, me personally, I mean, maybe the waterfall's way worse. But Tanjiro literally did this training in, like, episode 1 or 2. I wonder if this is anime original. But I wonder. I don't know. I'm just wondering if it is, because he didn't... I feel like he, being trained by the former water hashira and literally doing this shit, it was slightly different, and maybe they just spent more time, and that wasn't communicated well, or something. But I feel like Tanjiro should have been way more equipped for this style of training and this style of,
I mean, one of the other guys did say, like, oh, you and Inosuke are way better at this than me. I couldn't even be in there at all.
Well, yeah, but I feel like that wasn't in reference to Tanjiro's training specifically. It's just that Tanjiro and, you know, those guys are higher rank than them, you know, because they gain a rank, you know, every couple seasons or whatever. Anyway, so, like, that's something with that, but it's not that big of a deal. What I'm trying to point out is, you know, we spent a good amount of time with this. I feel like we spent enough time to, like, get what it's about. And then the log training wasn't as much, but it's just lifting a log, you know? It was just strength training to prepare you to be able to push the boulder. And then we got to the boulder, and we got a whole bunch of stuff in the middle. Like, we got, like, the stuff with Muzan.
I liked those guys leaving.
Yeah.
And like...
It felt real.
Yeah,
it
just felt kind of nice and kind of a bit different.
It felt really natural because, yeah, Tanjiro's having such a hard time, and I feel like the scene serves two purposes. It's to, like, give a little bit of tension with Tanjiro and his side of the training because he's having trouble with it. So it's showing, like, you know, he's not going to argue for these guys to stay because not even he knows if he can do this part of the training. So he's not going to, you know, say, oh, you guys can't give up. But also, it is important to have, like, a supporting role. And it is important for you to know your limitations and stuff like that. And it's not about... And the conversation's really difficult to have. Here's why I like the way this scene was written. Because it's a really difficult thing for your main character who's, like, has to be a nice guy, who, like, is a really nice guy and empathetic, is, you know, stronger and more experienced than everybody, has, like, a special part to play, is, like, the chosen one, quote unquote. While and having this conversation with these other guys who are, like, kind of, like, quote unquote fodder, who like are not the chosen one and all that. For it's a difficult thing with all of those parameters to write the scene where your main character sticks with the training and encourages the other people to be, like, the support role without it coming off like the main character has, like, main character syndrome or something like that. Like, a similar thing happens in episode 3, I think, of Attack on Titan, where Eren is all, you know, he's been waiting to go to the military, he's been doing all this, he's been, you know, he has all this trauma, he has a little bit more experience with Titans than, like, everybody else around him. He has something to prove, but he also thinks he's kind of a badass because he's got this fire in his belly type thing. And there's a similar scene where it's very quick, but there's a bunch, after the first day or whatever, they're all on the porch and they see all the, like, a bunch of the recruits who were going to join up, who, like, lost their nerve and are leaving, and he's like, if you can't take it, you can't take the fire, get out of the kitchen, you know what I'm saying? If you can't take it, you better go to the fields type thing, because that's the thing they always talk about, like, you either work in the fields and be a farmer, or you're a military guy. So there's, like, some elitism with that, but the purpose in that story is because Eren gets humbled time and again because he thinks that he's hot shit. Then he fails the training, or he completes the training, then he thinks he's hot shit, and then he gets fucking eaten. Like, so there's constantly things like that. It serves a different purpose in the story. So Eren coming, like, that's a similar situation where it's like Eren comes off with a big ego, and it works for his character. But the way that it's such a fine line to tread to make Tanjiro actually feel like he doesn't think that he's necessarily better, and he doesn't look down on them, and they don't feel like he's looking down on them, or they don't have a weird, you know, like, but it feels natural, you know? I don't know what it is about. There's, like, a lot of little things with this kind of a conversation with Tanjiro being the character that he is, that I think it's really, it's like it's a fine line to walk, and it feels really natural, and it's very well written, and it makes me connected to, it makes Tanjiro feel connected to the rest of the Demon Slayer Corps, which is also why I like this whole sequence where he's making the rice balls and stuff. I love that.
Cooking, and everyone just is like, oh, you're cooking so good.
Yeah, and you include salt, which is good because then it increases your hydration, you know, or your water retention, which you need for when you're building muscle, because then when your muscles are being built, then it's, you know, your muscles get hydrated, they get all pumped up, and they can help with your fatigue and recovery, which is good. And I like that the show like knows a little bit about that, or like, you know, factors that into that. It's not just Tanjiro made such a good meal. It's like a really humble meal that like a bunch of guys who are like striving to do something, you know, that, you know, just like that's that little detail of like, oh yeah, I put extra salt, like, you know, it just shows that's the kind of shit. Those are the small details that like make something feel bigger than it is. And it also makes my heart hurt every single time when we get a scene like that, when we get little details like that in these little scenes in the last few episodes with these other guys who are just faceless, nameless people, you know, like even like going back to Attack on Titan, in that first like 5 or 6 episodes or whatever, we get to meet Daz and fucking Mina and all those other people. I can't remember them exactly. If you showed me a picture, I would remember all of their names, all the different cadets. That's because I'm a super fan of Attack on Titan. But even then, they all had like distinct designs, and although you know, they don't really last long in the story, they come back, you know, at various points or whatever, you see a little bit here and there. But having just that little bit of characterization for them, having a little gag that Isayama puts at the end of a volume or something like that, including these background characters, you know, it makes scenes like this feel a lot more grounded, a lot more real. Mm-hmm. And it's just, it's because, like, I love shit like this. I love scenes like this where, like, I feel like I'm getting to know these guys, and some of their faces are familiar, like the dude with, like, the smaller eyes here with the shorter hair. Mm-hmm. Like, I kind of recognize him. He's a little bit distinct. I think I kind of recognize this guy. Like, I feel like we're supposed to kind of keep tabs on these guys, but they're all just, like, roughly interchangeable.
Yeah.
And it really, like, it's something I really hate to say, because I've been really enjoying training with these guys.
Yeah.
And I just wish that, you know, we could know them a little bit better. Mm-hmm. You know, that's it. So I guess that's like one criticism that I feel very comfortable making with the show. A lot of times I feel like I don't know as much about Demon Slayer as like a lot of other people. But like that's one where I feel like it would only improve the story to really get these guys explored a lot more, rather than just the Hashira and like Tanjiro's friends. Yeah. And obviously the demons, but and then we have this little thing here.
Yeah, it was really nice. Cute. And then he was thinking of his family later on to help him move the boulder as well, so that was really nice. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And his mark was getting very refined as he was doing that.
And Genya showed up. Mm-hmm. And again, Genya. So I'm of two minds with Genya. Like I said in the episode, I really like the journey that Genya's been on from like the first few episodes where Tanjiro went through the exam, and we saw Genya at the end like grabbing that girl's wrist, or like or whatever, he was like being a piece of shit, or Tanjiro like almost broke his arm, or did break his arm or something like that by grabbing him or something. Some shit like that. I can't remember the exact details, but Genya was like super pissed off there. And it feels like a lot of his personal journey kind of happened in the background, because he was still kind of an asshole when we met him last season and like really spent more time with him. But it was more like he went from a guy I would expect to like do really bad things to a guy who was just really mean. You know what I mean? Like who was just kind of ornery but still on our side. Yeah. I was expecting, based on when we first met him in season 1, for there to be some sort of rogue element to him, and maybe there was dreams of that by the author to like have a bit more of a dynamic path for him, but it just never got there because of just the way the story went. I would believe that, but so anyway, we meet him. He's like a certain kind of asshole, then he's like a different kind of an asshole, and now we're meeting him after a little bit, and he's like way more, oh no, big brother type thing. And I feel like this is what I mean by like two minds. It's like I feel like there is a genuine character in there that the author has in their mind, It's just that we didn't get to experience a lot of it to this point. It was a lot in the background over the course of the series, other than last season where big steps were made. But the way he's behaving now and the way he was behaving last season, I know there's different circumstances because he's dealing with his brother and it's a very touchy subject. But just the way that he's talking with Tanjiro here, I would never have expected given his thing. And maybe that's on me. But at the end of the day, I do like it. I do like having Genya in the scenes and Genya talking with Tanjiro. I enjoy it. I enjoy them talking and him trying to, help Tanjiro figure shit out. It makes sense given the journey that they've been on and everything. It's just that I feel like a lot of the character that's in there, there's some gaps in like that development as far as our perspective goes. Again, it feels like the kind of thing that the author had a lot more plans for, but we didn't quite get along to it quick enough in the story, maybe. But I do, closing thoughts, I like Genya. I really like him. I think he might be my favorite character.
I think I like Genya, and also I like Genya and Tanjiro's relationship, because I feel like obviously there's Zenitsu and Inosuke, and like they can have their moments, but for a lot of the time they're just like being funny and like kind of annoying. Yeah. So I really like Genya, because when he comes in and he's talking to Tanjiro, I'm like invested in their conversation and like excited to like see them interact with each other. I'm like, oh yeah, like Genya's gonna like help Tanjiro out here, or Tanjiro's gonna help Genya out here, and it's like I'm interested to see their relationship develop through their conversations. Whereas like when Inosuke or Zenitsu comes in, I'm just kind of like, oh haha. Yeah. They're memeing, and like in previous seasons they've had more moments that are, a little bit more serious. But I guess I just appreciate the very like down to earth moments that we've been getting with Genya and Tanjiro throughout this season.
I agree. Yeah, and I really like how he put into perspective all the things that we've been doing. I like that kind of, it's kind of a little bit of a reveal, like what the whole training means or what they're meant to take from it, because they weren't really taught it. They have to, I think it's maybe part of the training that they need to figure it out for themselves, but that maybe was taken too far to where they don't even know what to do exactly, or what the chanting means, what all this stuff means. And it is kind of like a mindfulness type thing, or maybe the opposite, where you kind of disconnect. He's saying like you open all your senses, and maybe I don't understand it, but the way that I would picture myself doing that is just like you're experiencing suffering, like whether it's really cold waterfall or sitting on a bed of coals and with fire all around you. You sit and you almost is like you disconnect yourself from your mortal body, like you kind of disconnect your spirit and just like let the sensations happen and don't let them influence your actions, and then just continue with that stone cold will, and just like having that disconnecting, knowing that it will pass, like keeping the chanting, that like again that repetition of chanting the same thing. It gives you something to kind of latch onto. It's like that's kind of what meditation or prayer kind of does. And applying that to this, I think, is really cool, because, you could see how that kind of idea could be applied to moving a big rock, it's a similar kind of suffering where your muscles are, like, at their limit, but they're only at your limit because you're, like, conscious of them. If you were able to, like, completely remove yourself from the situation, or they say, like, open up your senses, I think they're getting at the similar thing. Just, like, be in the mindset of move the rock, make the movements with your leg that allow this to happen, and just kind of resolve yourself for that. And that's why I think we see all the fire stuff, and obviously that's just for us because it's not he's not literally on fire. It's a visualization of his concentration, which is what the breathing is all about. So it kind of connects it back to the whole like hashira training, breathing techniques of being a demon slayer type thing. So it kind of goes full circle, and I really like that. So, I don't know, some about the very simple, like, and that's why I actually like Demon Slayer as a series. I don't want to get on this whole thing where people are going to argue about whether the fucking breathing styles are real or magic or, nothing and just breathing techniques. They're clearly more of a martial art that represents the human spirit. It's like an extension of their sword is an extension of their self. They fight with the human spirit against demons who, like, lack that human spirit, or who have forgone that or forsaken that for the sake of great power in the absence of their soul. Basically, they've sold themselves. So the demon slayers aren't fighting with big mist attacks, big, fire explosions. They're fighting with their spirit that is communicated and visualized spiritually through their blade. Anyway, what was I saying with that? I can't quite remember, but sure. It was just it's just that the concentration. Oh yeah, it's just that I've always liked that. I've always liked that idea that in Demon Slayer, the way that the power system is it's physical. It's like we get a big spectacle, but it is concentrated and accurate physical actions that you take. It's not about big explosions. That's what makes it cool to me. And that's what makes moments like this interesting, is because he's not using magic to move the rock. He's focusing his body himself. And his muscles. And again, we get that like explosion of fire or whatever as like a visualization, but it's communicative. It's evocative of his spirit and this feeling that he has. Yeah, exactly. Like the set your heart ablaze. It's like he didn't literally mean set yourself on fire. He's that's why it's a fire thing. Is because he's literally not literally. He's figuratively setting his heart ablaze. Mm-hmm. And then the demons who are like, they're demons. They can kind of feel that energy coming off them. Anyway, so I just like I like that consistency with this. I like that. It's cool. It felt earned this episode because of the journey that we went on and how everything kind of came full circle. Mm-hmm. It just felt like a really good episode to me.
Yeah, I liked it a lot.
Leave a like and subscribe. We'll see you guys in the next one. I'm Carson.
I'm Lindsay.
Bye-bye.